Hello YouTube. Got a new camera and I wanted to finally start recording some of my vintage tents here. This is a vintage 1982 Eureka Expedition Sentinel 4-season mountaineering tent. This is the 2+ person size. Oh, got a frame there. Working with a new camera here. This is with the fly off. I'm going to pause for a moment, put the fly on, but I did want to show this has got 1/2-inch Easton 70-75 T9 poles with aluminum junction rods. The middle hoop pole here is a, memory serves me correct, it's about a 9mm. And this tent has never been used. It's a 1982. I found it on Craigslist. It had only been set up one time in the gentleman's basement that I bought it from 30 years ago. He was, I believe, a gunsmith for Sears. And I guess they used to carry some pretty high-end stuff there. This one was still on the shelf at the end of the year, if I got the story right. He got a deal on it, and he already had a bunch of timberline tents, so he never used this. It sat in his basement in the box for 30 years till he sold it to me. Okay, I'll be back in a moment when I put the fly on and show you some literature I've got about this. Okay, here we go. Here is a look at the 1982 Eureka Sentinel Expedition 2-person, or they call it a 2+. Symmetrical, 2 doors. The Easton poles. I guess I'm not quite getting everything on frame here. Okay, I got some literature on the inside. And while I'm here at the door, I think there's one thing I want to mention too. This is all pretty standard, like Timberline style door, the old style with the 2 zippers. And I really like the flap over the zipper on the old style Timberlines versus the new SQ series. They don't have this. They moved to the newer style door that I think consumers like better, and it's great on a tent with a vestibule. But in summertime, I kind of prefer tents without a vestibule for better ventilation. And anyways, this flap here, I've found that without this flap, sometimes sand and debris, and very heavy rain, sand and debris, the rainfall can kick it up into the zipper. So I really do like this, the flap on the old style ones. All the old Timberline style, and most of your old Eureka tents had that. And they moved away from it, though I believe it was just consumers. So here's a shot right now on the inside. This is a large size Thermarest Trail Pro, one of the older models. It's the 25-inch by 77. Again, the large size. Found the tent on Craigslist. It's a Craigslist Hudson Bay. And what do you know? The color matches. Because, you know, when you rock this vintage gear, you've got to come correct, right? Okay. Here is the tag. This is the second time I've set this tent up outside, and the gentleman that I bought it from said he had set it up in his basement once 30+ years ago. 1982. So 35 years. This tent is nearly as old as I am. I've got some paperwork that this top sheet he gave me with it, I believe. Got this tent about 4 months ago. And I believe it's rare enough where I probably should not be using it, so I don't believe I will. As of so far, I have not seam sealed this tent. And I like this tent a lot, but I think I'm just gonna, it's kind of a piece of history, and I think it's a very rare tent, and probably far more rare than some of those moss tents that are going for big bucks on eBay. This tent may possibly be far more rare. I can't even find any pictures online of this thing. Okay, so I want to read this little thing for you. Just the point of this video is to just document this rare tent, so maybe future tent designers or other people that have any interest in some of the old rare stuff, and hopefully maybe I can encourage some other people that if you've got a favorite older tent, it isn't made any longer, let's see it. Let's show them, document this, because world keeps moving forward. These some of these younger tent designers may not have even seen this stuff, and in the future, you know, not much of this stuff left. I've got some other old tents that I like too, and I'm going to be showing them off in the future. Okay, so Eureka Expedition Sentinel 4 Season, 2 doors, Expedition Easton, aluminum 70-75 frame. The middle of the tent is inherited a hoop for more headroom and shoulder room. And from online, they used to have a hoop style tent named the Caddis that had this center hoop. And that's where they obviously Timberline influenced main A-frame here with that hoop in here. And I also I have an Alpine Meadows that it's very similar to this, but it's not a 4-season tent. Okay. The body of the tent tapers down to a Timberline style suspension system, twin track doors for accessibility. There's one side opening door at each end. Compact frame of lightweight, high strength, Easton anodized 70-75 T9 aluminum alloy. Folds into rods no longer than 20 inches. This frame does fold down to, I think it's about 19 or 19 1/4 inches. The longest pole, the longest section out of all of it. The complete frame package will easily fit inside most backpacks. Sentinel frame is shock corded. I did, by the way. I had to replace the shock cord. I believe it was the center hoop, and I think maybe the ridge pole I did too, but that one wasn't as bad. All 4 legs, the shock cording was fine, but 35-year-old shock cording right now in these, and it's perfect. I used some mil-spec shock cording from Eureka USMC tent for these other sections. Okay. An overall fly hooded on both ends, attaches to the frame with S-hooks and shock cord. This creates a second layer of the double wall construction. Air circulates freely in the space between the tent and the fly, minimizing condensation and increasing insulation. Tent and pole bag stakes, seam sealant included. Available in caramel sandstone combination with a tan fly, which is what you see it in. These are the specs they're showing here. There's an obvious typo here in the fold size. It says 6x10. And 7x20 for the 4-person. Now this is 20 or 19.5, so it's 6x19.5, or you could just round up to 20, which I'm sure that's what they did there. So it's a 6x8 they're calling it, but right here, if you look at this, it tapers down to try to. I'm guessing they were trying to make it so it has the wind doesn't push it from the side as much as the standard A-frame. And that's one thing that maybe you notice if you rewind the video again. The hood is much smaller. Right here. The hood is much smaller on this than a standard Timberline. That pole right there is half the length of a standard Timberline pole. The Eve pole or whatever they call that one. Okay, here's a picture. They might have had a couple versions of this too. This is an advertisement I found from, I believe, like Backpacker magazine in 82-ish, 81 or 82. But now look at something simple here. The door is like the Eureka military tents, where it opens all the way down and no zipper on the bottom here. Which I do like that style too. I don't know exactly what the purpose of that is. I always thought it was to keep sand out of this, because there is no zipper at the bottom here. And as long as you're careful to always drop it in on the military tents, I've got a couple of those, it works out pretty well. And you don't get that when rain knocks debris up. Well, there isn't a zipper to catch sand and crap, earth basically, because the zipper's all up here, and that's more or less likely to catch the rain-driven debris. Oh yeah, look, boom, close-up of that picture right there. What a cool, like, 1980s spec backpack too. Okay, here's a Vestibule. A shot of the Vestibule. Man, I would love to dumb into one of these. Not likely I will ever find the Vestibule. You could, imagine if you're going to really use this in the winter, you would probably want the Vestibule on there since the eaves are so small on the side. And there was a There's some specs for that too. Okay, it's all ripstop. The floor is not. The coatings, by the way, if you look at this floor, it's brand new. The coatings were a little sticky. This has got very, very thick, heavy waterproof coatings on the floor and the fly. It does stink a little bit. The stink went away a little bit. It was sticking to itself when I first opened this tent, first time it being opened in 30 plus years, and nothing peeled. Nothing was too bad. It was tacky and stuck to itself a little bit. The stickiness went away after it was aired out a little bit. I think that's about all I got to say about this. I've got a couple other discontinued tents that I would like to show. Eureka Alpine Meadows that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. I've got a first generation one of those with the aluminum center pole like this, the hoop pole here. I used to have a second generation one that had it was all aluminum frames. It's a Timberline frame, but it had a fiberglass pole in the middle. This first generation one has a aluminum pole, but it's not one of these Easton ones though. Anyways, another one I got is a Eureka Timber Light 2-person backpacking tent, and it's a first generation with aluminum junction tubes up there. When the later generation Timberlights, I believe, had plastic ones like the Timberlines did. I have got a vintage Eureka Backcountry 2, which I'm a huge fan of Eureka A-frame Timberline based tents, but somehow the old super simple dorky little 2-person Backcountry 2 is one of my favorite tents ever. I'm serious. It's so simple and it's so dorky. They don't make them anymore. I've watched a few pop up on eBay this year. Sometimes they go for $40 in like new condition. It's one of my favorite. It might be my favorite tent. It packs so much smaller and lighter than a Timberline, and when you guy it out correctly, that thing is bomb proof. So I'm going to show you guys that tent too. I've been using it for about 3 years and I really like it a lot. Anyways, comments, please leave them below. Questions, anybody have any further advice, or you know anything about this tent, you've got more specs to add on, please do. That was the point of this video. Hopefully I can encourage some other people to make some videos showing older tents, even if it's a tired tent that's beginning to leak or whatever. It's something you like, please show it off, and talk about the older features that you don't find anymore that you like about that tent. Okay, this is it for the memory card. I got 6 seconds left. Thank you for watching. Please leave those questions and comments.